It's been 5 years since my father passed. My mother, Patricia, and my sister, Caitlin, still reside in the grand estate he left behind in one of Westchester County's most affluent neighborhoods. Meanwhile, I live alone in a modest high-rise apartment on Manhattan's Upper East Side, with a view that overlooks the calming green expanse of Central Park. In my role as head of research and development at MediPharm Pharmaceuticals, I led a groundbreaking initiative focused on cancer treatment. The project, with a yearly budget of $100 million, involved close collaboration with esteemed institutions like the Mayo Clinic and Johns Hopkins Hospital. My days were full, demanding, and meaningful. Each weekend, I devoted my time to volunteering at St. Mary's Senior Center. The quiet, heartfelt conversations I shared with the residents brought me a sense of peace and belonging. But that calm began to shift when Caitlin's social media presence suddenly went viral. Using the handle Caitlin Luxury Life, my sister began documenting her extravagant lifestyle. Within months, her follower count soared past the 1 million mark. Rumors swirled that her yearly earnings from brand deals and promotions exceeded $500,000. Her posts flaunted designer Hermès handbags, fine dining experiences at Michelin-starred restaurants, and globe-trotting adventures on private jets. With her sleek blonde hair, flawless makeup, and couture fashion, Caitlin became a digital icon, admired and envied by countless young women. My mother, ever strategic, used Caitlin's newfound fame to strengthen her own social influence in New York's elite circles. Backed by an inheritance that generated over $1 million a year, she cemented her status through high-profile philanthropy and a seat on the board of the New York Charity Association. That's when the attacks began. Online rumors and critical comments emerged, aimed at tarnishing my image. Phrases like "How can someone from such a wealthy family live so plainly?" and "She's an embarrassment to the family" began popping up on Caitlin's account. I chose to remain quiet, holding firmly to the belief that hard work and integrity were more valuable than public approval. Then came the announcement of Caitlin's engagement to James Harrison, a rising investor from a powerful Boston lineage. His father chaired a major investment bank with deep connections in both political and financial realms. James seemed to be the perfect partner for Caitlin, polished, image-conscious, and equally ambitious. Plans for the wedding quickly took shape, a lavish event for 400 guests at the legendary Plaza Hotel. Reports hinted that the celebration would cost more than $500,000. The guest list included industry giants and social luminaries. Every detail, from a custom cake by Sylvia to flowing Dom Perignon and a gourmet menu featuring Veuve Clicquot, was curated for ultimate luxury. But I never received an invitation. When I asked my mother about it, she brushed me off. "You're probably swamped with work. I'm sure the cancer research needs your full attention." Still, I reminded myself this was Caitlin's day, not mine. I picked out a simple navy dress by Ralph Lauren and paired it with a classic Tiffany necklace. That morning, sunlight poured over the city. I woke early, carefully applied my makeup, and pinned my black hair into a neat updo. My pearl earrings, heirlooms from mother, added a touch of elegance. I paused to look at myself in the mirror, letting out a long breath. Despite everything, I was determined to show up for Caitlin with grace and sincerity. Outside, the trees of Central Park swayed gently in the breeze. Joggers passed by, and for a moment, life felt steady. I reached the Plaza Hotel precisely at 11 a.m. Luxury vehicles lined up outside, Bentleys, Rolls-Royces, Maybachs, while valets in white gloves moved briskly. My Lexus felt modest in comparison, but the valet offered a respectful smile. "Have a wonderful time, Miss Walker." I gave a polite nod and stepped through the grand revolving doors into the opulent lobby of the plaza. I was immediately captivated by the shimmer of crystal chandeliers above. The polished Italian marble floors gleamed beneath extravagant floral displays that gave the space a storybook charm. Delicate curves of snowy calla lilies and blush-pink roses framed every corner, their arrangement exuding luxury. A soft lavender scent drifted through the air, wrapping the entire lobby in a calm, fragrant embrace. Just past the entrance, I ran into several familiar faces from the pharmaceutical world: Dr. Johnson from the Mayo Clinic and Professor Martin from Memorial Sloan Kettering. Their warm greetings reminded me that my work still held meaning beyond all this grandeur. We briefly discussed the latest clinical trial for our cancer treatment initiative. Elizabeth, What a beautiful setting for your sister's wedding, Dr. Johnson remarked. Yes, I replied with a composed smile. I hope it's everything she dreamed of. By the way, I heard the trial results are looking very promising. We might be nearing FDA approval. That would be a huge step for patients everywhere. With a shared nod of encouragement, we made our way down the corridor toward the reception. The hallway shimmered with opulence. Elegantly dressed women in tailored Chanel suits and pastel Birkin bags glided past, their voices low and refined. Soft murmurs floated through the air, whispers of a wedding budget north of $500,000. Ornate 18th-century French tapestries lined the walls, and ceiling murals in Renaissance style looked down from above. Massive antique vases stood along the hallway, overflowing with white Casablanca lilies, their scent crisp and heady. At the entrance to the venue, I paused. A tall security guard in a black suit stood at the door, tablet in hand. His gold name badge read Plaza Security, and he gave a courteous nod as I stepped forward. Name, please? Elizabeth Walker. Just a moment, he said, his fingers swiping across the screen. A flicker of unease crept up my spine as I watched his brows draw together. I'm sorry, he said flatly, your name isn't on the list. The words landed like ice. Please check again. Elizabeth Walker, I'm the bride's sister. My voice quivered despite my efforts to stay composed. The guard looked once more, but his expression didn't change. I'm afraid I can't let you in. Then I heard laughter behind me. Turning slowly, I spotted them, my mother and Caitlin. Mother was radiant in a pristine white Chanel ensemble, a Cartier necklace glinting at her throat. Caitlin stood beside her in a flowing Vera Wang gown. A diamond tiara perched atop her golden curls. In her hand, she held up her phone. Its camera pointed directly at me. She was streaming. The screen flashed with comments, hearts drifting up like confetti. Best drama of the year. Big sis got what she deserved. The messages scrolled fast and brutal. My mother and sister wore smug smiles, basking in the digital applause. Around them, guests stared. Some looked confused, others quickly turned away. In that instant, the truth became clear. This had never been an oversight. It was staged, down to the missing invitation, down to Mother's dismissive remark. All of it was orchestrated for this public humiliation. Without a word, I turned and walked back through the ornate hallway. I could feel eyes on me, hear the silence that followed in my wake. Dr. Johnson called after me softly, but I simply offered a faint smile and kept moving. Outside, the valet retrieved my car with a somber expression, his earlier friendliness gone. Drive safe, ma'am. I gave a slight nod, got into my car, and pulled away. The towering presence of the plaza shrank in my rearview mirror, a monument to betrayal and spectacle. Beneath the flawless summer sky, I drove in silence. The jagged Manhattan skyline rose ahead, colder and more distant than I'd ever known it to be. My phone buzzed over and over in my bag. Alerts from Caitlin's livestream. Now trending, no doubt. I powered it off and set it aside. With a long, quiet breath, I turned toward home, weaving through the city's constant motion. Behind me, a storm was already brewing online. The hashtag Walker family scandal exploded across social media within hours. My sister's live stream had gone viral, and furious comments were cascading in from all corners. The video made its way swiftly to James Harrison's family in Boston, and the Harrisons were livid. In the pharmaceutical world, where decorum and ethics mattered deeply, murmurs of disapproval were turning into formal complaints. Both Mayo Clinic and Johns Hopkins began reaching out with urgent inquiries about what had transpired. Inside the grand ballroom of the plaza, the celebration had begun to unravel. More than half the distinguished guests quietly excused themselves. The sharp clatter of designer heels on polished marble echoed through the hollowing room, more haunting than festive. My phone sat silent on the table, powered down. It buzzed occasionally, trying to come to life with calls and messages, colleagues, friends, media, but I left it untouched. Instead, I sat in my apartment, sipping tea as the soft light of late afternoon filtered through the windows, Central Park's trees gently swaying in the distance. Then, just as I had predicted, the inevitable announcement came. James Harrison issued a public statement. I cannot, in good conscience, marry into this family. The engagement is hereby cancelled. His composed voice echoed through the chaos of the plaza. My sister's shriek followed almost instantly, slicing through the stunned silence. Mother collapsed, her string of pearls scattering noisily across the marble like broken glass. Media crews that had been held at bay now surged forward, recording every desperate moment. By evening, the intercom in my apartment rang. I glanced at the monitor. There they were, my mother and sister, tear-streaked, disheveled, visibly shaken. The crisp white Chanel suit was wrinkled, the once glorious wedding gown streaked with dirt and city grime. They looked like broken porcelain dolls, wrapped in luxury labels now soaked in humiliation. "Elizabeth, please." Mother's voice cracked, barely audible. They knelt at my door, faces toward the camera, desperation etched into every movement. "We didn't mean for it to go this far. We'll explain everything. We'll apologize," my sister added, her voice hoarse and raw. Though her live stream had long ended, I could see her phone's screen still glowing in her hand, notifications lighting up, sponsors pulling out, follower numbers plunging like a freefall. I remained seated, quietly cradling my teacup. The sun had begun its descent, setting Manhattan's skyline ablaze with a golden-orange hue. The intercom buzzed again. "Please, please open the door. We're ruined." People won't stop talking. Their pleas grew more frenzied, the sound of sobbing carrying through the hall outside my door. From the window, I watched as evening settled over Central Park. Joggers passed beneath swaying trees. A couple walked their Labrador. Students lounged with books, unfazed by the drama playing out just a few blocks away. Life, for everyone else, carried on. Down in the lobby, residents were beginning to notice. Some stopped and stared, others whispered behind hands. 2 building security guards approached, gently asking Mother and my sister to leave. "We can't go, not like this, not while the whole world is watching," my sister cried out. Then came the twist no one expected. Surveillance footage from the Plaza Hotel leaked online. The clip of me being turned away at the door, while my mother and sister stood in the background laughing and recording, hit the internet like a lightning bolt. It spread like wildfire. The public reaction was immediate and visceral. Disgust, outrage, betrayal. The tide of sympathy turned toward me in an instant. My sister's follower count nosedived at a staggering pace, from over 1 million to under 100,000 in just a day. And it didn't stop there. Her previous posts became battlegrounds. Was all of this fake? Did you even own those bags? Everything was staged, wasn't it? Brand after brand began cutting ties. Sponsorship deals evaporated overnight. Termination emails poured in like dominoes, falling one after another. Everything she had built, her image, her influence, her social currency, crumbled. And still, the intercom kept ringing. But I didn't move. Her yearly earnings, more than $500,000, were about to vanish in a single night. The Harrison family of Boston launched an enormous lawsuit for damages. Beyond demanding reimbursement of the $500,000 wedding expenses, they sought an additional $1 million for the harm caused to their family's social reputation. The Harrisons, a well-established Boston dynasty entrenched in politics and finance, were seething with fury. "The cost of tarnishing our family's honor will be steep," pronounced James's father, chairman of a major investment bank. His declaration was picked up by leading U.S. media outlets. The scandal dominated the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Mother's downfall was just as severe. Her swift expulsion from New York's elite circles followed immediately. She received a formal dismissal from the New York Charity Association, and other philanthropic groups quickly cut all ties. "I never want to hear the name Patricia Walker again," declared one influential socialite, her voice icy and resolute. The steady income exceeding $1 million annually from father's estate began to dwindle as the managing bank terminated their agreement without hesitation. Then came the tidal wave. My sister's followers began dissecting her past posts, and glaring inconsistencies surfaced one by one. Is that Hermes bag a counterfeit? Why are all the fancy restaurant pictures taken from outside? Were those private jet photos actually shot in a studio? The investigations uncovered disturbing truths. Most of her posts were staged illusions. The luxury brands were often rented or outright fake. Her so-called fine dining photos were mostly snapped outside the establishments. Many overseas travel pictures were digitally manipulated. Even the private jet interiors had been rented sets designed to mimic real cabins. Even worse, it was revealed that my exclusion from the wedding had been a deliberate act of harassment. My name was purposefully omitted from the guest list, and the live stream was promoted beforehand to maximize audience engagement. I wanted to craft the best drama and boost viewership. My sister admitted in a public statement that only fueled the backlash. The online criticism surged. The public was horrified that she had sacrificed family loyalty for internet fame and advertising profits. My employer, Meaty Farm, faced a barrage of questions. But their response was prompt and firm. Vice President Elizabeth Walker's scientific achievements remain unquestioned. Personal family matters do not affect her professional expertise. The CEO's statement earned widespread respect. Indeed, support for my work grew stronger. Collaborative research with Mayo Clinic and Johns Hopkins proceeded without interruption. Elizabeth's research offers new hope for countless cancer patients, Professor Martin declared, his endorsement echoing throughout the medical field. The clinical trial data on the new anti-cancer drug was highly promising, with FDA approval on the horizon. Meanwhile, mother and my sister's downfall only worsened. Forced to sell the grand Westchester mansion to cover damages, they retreated to a modest apartment in the suburbs. Their once glittering social life crumbled entirely. They vanished from public view, trading extravagance for anonymity. How did we fall so far? Mother's anguished whisper filled the barren rooms. All the designer bags and luxury garments were sold at auction. Most of their savings disappeared into the endless compensation payments, leaving behind only silence and regret. Then one day, a letter appeared in my mailbox. It was a handwritten apology, on tear-stained stationery, from mother and my sister. We never understood your sincerity. We were lost in vanity and pride, blind to what truly matters. But my heart remained still. Though forgiveness was possible, reconciliation was not. The relationship we once had could never be restored. The past cannot be undone. Each of us had to forge a new path forward. Please do not contact me again. That was the entirety of my response. A year has passed since then. Now, gentle sunlight pours through the windows of Stay, Mary's Senior Center. After completing my weekend volunteer duties, I stroll down the hallway, calm and purposeful. Elizabeth, thank you for being here once more. An elderly woman in her 80s greets me with a warm smile. Her kindness always moves me. Our simple, genuine conversations have become something I hold dear. Over the last year, my volunteer efforts have grown significantly. I now lead an NPO dedicated to supporting seniors, deepening my commitment to giving back. At Meaty Farm, I was promoted from Director of Development to Vice President. The cancer drug we developed surpassed every expectation, securing FDA approval and offering hope to patients nationwide. Vice President Walker's leadership is exceptional. Her integrity was the cornerstone of our success. The CEO's praise resonated far beyond the office walls. My standing in the pharmaceutical world is now solid and respected. Our research continues to appear in top medical journals, and the ever-changing Manhattan skyline witnesses each new chapter. Meanwhile, my mother and sister live quietly in a modest suburban apartment. Their once glittering social media fame has faded into memory. Luxury has given way to simplicity. Occasionally, my mother sends a message. Just once, can we talk? But I remain silent. This is my choice. I've resolved to live looking forward, not shackled by what's behind. Outside my high-rise window, Central Park glows in the soft light of autumn. My days are full, filled with research, volunteer work, and leadership. I harbor no regrets. In fact, I believe those painful moments on that wedding day gave my life renewed purpose. To live with sincerity, this is what truly matters. I shared these words recently at a Meaty Farm board meeting. From the conference room's window, the Manhattan skyline stretched beneath a clear blue sky. Quietly, a new era was beginning. My once famous sister now works at a small accounting firm. My mother spends her days knitting by the window. Their lives, once defined by status and spectacle, are now simple and perhaps more authentic. There are things more precious than money and fame. We had to lose everything to finally see that. These were my sister's words in her final letter. Inside the envelope was a single photo, the two of them, side by side. Gone were the luxury brands and heavy makeup. Instead, their faces wore natural, peaceful smiles. Sometimes I walk past the Plaza Hotel. That day feels like a distant memory now. Volunteer work at the senior center. Ongoing cancer research. The steady rhythm of a meaningful life. Amid it all, I continue walking my own path. Elizabeth is our pride, said Dr. Johnson from Mayo Clinic. His words echo throughout the medical community.